Hi, this is another episode of the Critical Introverts Show. I'm your host, Senor Filth. I'm joined with Intuitive Inks, the Benevolent Asshole, and Tara, her TM hand artist. She hasn't been around for a second. If you want to say hi, Tara, to everybody.
Hey, I'm back. On a long vacation, but back.
Yeah. We're going to kind of continue the Zuby life lessons and maybe even do some reaction videos if we can, if the time is right. I guess let's just jump right into it. Or should we just start with a video just to change it up? What do you guys think?
We can do this first and just try to stay a little bit more on track.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Yeah. I'm new to it, so I'll just go along with the flow.
All right. Zuby life lesson number 11. People who are dismissed as conspiracy theorists are often well-researched and simply ahead of the mainstream narrative. Yeah. It's odd to me that it seems like within this last year or so that like the left has kind of adapted this monopoly on the phrase conspiracy theorist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's odd to be the person that says I don't think a cloth is going to really protect you from this super deadly virus. Yeah. That's the crazy person, and the person saying the opposite is the rational minded. Yeah, like how bizarre the time we live in.
Yeah, I think when a lot of these conspiracies come to fact or become reality, the thing is, even when something comes into reality, people don't accept it right away because you have to be at least doing a little bit of research to sort of anticipate that what's going to happen. So a lot of the stuff that we've been saying for months about the Wuhan lab and all this stuff is actually becoming fact.
Yeah.
So now, like all of us, and same thing with the whole election fraud and all that stuff. We've been anticipating that for like a long time. It actually happened, and now all the proof is coming out. So a lot of people, this is kind of brand new, so it sort of gets them in shock. So it's still hard for them to accept that this is true, that this is like a fact, that there was election fraud. There was election fraud. YouTube. Yeah. There was the whole Wuhan lab. Theory was not a theory. There's like a lot of truth to what was behind there. Yeah. And even that one guy, even like the comedian with Jon Stewart was like joking about it, not that long ago. I'm like, okay, yeah, we've been saying this for a long time. Now you're like joking about it, and now like we were supposed, like a lot of people got banned. A lot of channels that I used to follow on YouTube got banned because they either spoke about that or they spoke about other stuff. And a lot of the stuff that they got banned for initially is now coming out to be true. And like I said, you have to kind of like be following this at least a little bit, just to anticipate when it does come out. Okay, oh yeah, that we knew all along, but it's still going to take some time for some of these other people to kind of catch up, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember back in January or February of 2020, I knew everything we knew now.
Yeah.
Because there's this guy I follow. If you've ever seen Elijah Schaefer, he's got a show called The Offensive.
Yeah.
I was like, he's like ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's ahead of like most reporters. And I was just like, dang, this is what's going on. And like for a while, I mean, like I was wearing masks way before 2020 because I had like an allergy to perfume.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like the freak at my college. But like once everything started, this one guy walked up to me. He's like, "Where did you buy your mask?" And I'm like, "Oh, this mask won't like do anything about COVID. Like it's good for like and stuff, but and allergies, but it's not built for this. You
Yeah,
don't need
even
a
yeah.
this like you can't really find like the N95s because they're being reserved for like nurses and stuff. And then like there's all those media lies way after that.
Yeah.
Like they kept on flip-flopping and it was so annoying.
But I remember like hearing about COVID like maybe like around like Thanksgiving, Christmas time. And it was just sort of like shoved to the side and like even like there was people like sort of kind of talking about it and the mainstream media was sort of even addressing those people as conspiracy theorists. Like there's articles of people saying like, you know, it's not that bad. But then it just like a complete 180 happened and like it's shut down the earth for God knows how long.
I have a question for everybody. What do you think makes people like Elijah Schaefer and Fleckas and all these people more effective than your average mainstream media?
I think it's just because they're just independent. I think that's the main reason.
They call it like it is.
Yeah. Because like you mentioned that that Colbert Jon Stewart thing. I don't know like if Jon Stewart's if he's on his own or what the hell he's doing right now, but
He's a Democrat.
I mean
like,
like as far as I don't know what you call it. Like Colbert is like kind of owned and you can kind of like notice like he was a lot more uptight and then Jon Stewart was a lot more open.
Yeah.
He was just generally having fun with the conversation.
Yeah, you could tell
Yeah.
kind of like Colbert was trying like, hey, calm down, man. Like you're gonna
Yeah.
like, take it out. Well, I don't know if you guys seen like I know like Colbert is controlled because you've seen he's like buddies with like John Podesta and like his brother.
Is he?
They're like buddies, and like if anybody's gone down that rabbit hole, I mean,
Yep.
it's like that's not the kind of people you want to be around.
mm,
Yeah. It's yeah, but I think the big thing is just being independent. 'Cause like now news has like a NASCAR feel to it. Like everything's so sponsored and
Very
so
compromised.
yeah, so corporate and it's just
Yeah, I had to disconnect from all of
mhm.
those mainstream like news talking heads and
Mhm.
even the ones on YouTube. Like there's like a good list of them that are definitely paid for, though that at least were paid for
Mhm.
back then, that were like the Young Turks and stuff like that.
Oh,
yeah.
And yeah.
Oh man, I
And-
can't stand them.
yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think they got like shut down, I believe.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I believe they got shut
Temporarily.
down.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like that one guy. What's his name? Czech or whatever. That one guy. Like, that
Cenk
guy. He was.
Uygur,
Yeah, he was running like in my district, and like I remember he was trying to like campaign over here by the supermarket, the Vallarta. He was trying to like pander to like the Hispanic
Oh, was he?
community. I'm like, get the hell out of here, man.
Yeah. Did you guys ever see that clip? Do you guys know who Michael Tracy is?
I don't know who that is. No.
He was
No.
some journalist. What's her name? Lena Dunham. She wrote an article and he kind of fact checked her on a lie that she added. I forget what exactly the lie was, but because of that, like she got mad and it ended up him losing his job from that publication. And like a month after, he was just like fucking calling out so many journalists for being fake. And then out of nowhere, the Young Turks actually hired him. And I hope it's somewhere still on YouTube, but he and some other guy debated Chank and some chick, not the usual Anna Kasparian girl, some other woman about Russia. And Michael Tracy just annihilated them. Because Michael Tracy's, I kind of like his overall position on the Russia thing. He wasn't necessarily like he didn't believe it, but his position was that as journalists, if there's not as much evidence for this kind of claim, we should sort of back off because we're beginning to sound like a conspiracy theorist. And I need to like find that clip again, but it's so awesome, and he just annihilates both Chank and that woman. Yeah, it's fucking great.
Shank
Yeah.
was creepy.
Shank is he's kind of a douche. Did you guys see that Ben Shapiro debate he did a few years ago?
I believe I did. I think it was like one of the first debates I think I've seen that I saw Dave Ben Shapiro in.
Yeah, yeah, and that was just a bloodbath. Like Ben Shapiro just something to watch.
And I annihilated him like he does all of his opponents.
Yeah. It was great because Chang, he's so like snarky, and he would like make these claims, and he would just like very like arrogantly say like, "Oh my god, well if you're not uneducated, well just Google what I'm saying, and you'll know what I'm talking about." He had like that kind of attitude, and yeah, it's fucking brutal.
I think the issue, the problem with the whole conspiracy theory thing is that
Mhm.
you know there's like two different kind of conspiracy theorists. You
Mhm.
know, the ones that just believe everything that they hear, and then there's the ones that actually go out there and research everything, and then
Mhm.
they're just sitting there questioning everything and asking why, while everyone just dances about it all, and then they try to cover it up, which is what the mainstream media is doing now, just covering everything up. And then their best way of doing it is telling people that they're conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. The problem too with like conspiracy theory is that when the way that they define conspiracy theory, they're very selective in terms
Yeah.
of like the conspiracy theories that they kind of leave out versus like
Mhm.
the ones that they let gain traction, you can
Yeah.
say. And a lot of the
Yeah.
ones that gain traction around certain subjects are the ones that are fake to kind of like mislead people. So they just sort of muddy the road so people can just get demoralized. Like, oh, I thought it seemed like it was true, but I guess like I was doing the wrong research.
Yeah.
That's because a lot of these people, the people that are kind of like on the ball, those people that are doing the research, they get banned, they get shadow banned, or they just people, they get rid of them. And then like the other people, the way that you can see this is like some of these people that share real fake misinformation, they're the ones that get propped up.
Mhm.
The ones that share misinformation or the ones that get
Exactly.
or sharing propaganda, they're the ones like why are they still around? Like they've been sharing like all this
Yeah.
fake
Yeah.
information. Especially the
Exactly.
MSN, especially the MSN, but
Yeah.
there's other like sort of independent or smaller channels that they're talking rubbish
Mhm.
and they just discredit the whole conspiracy, or people, not conspiracy theory, but people actually trying to figure things out, trying to piece things together. There's nothing wrong with, you have the freedom of speculation to try to figure things out.
Mhm. Yeah, they are trying to like, I think, intimidate regular people from just doing their own research and like scare them and make them like. There's nothing wrong with like looking into whatever conspiracy. I mean, it's fine. It's
Yeah,
it's a
like,
normal thing to be curious, but I feel like there's like this huge amount of confusion that like makes people intimidated
yeah,
to look into things.
it's kind
Yeah.
of like goes back to like social approval too, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
And then especially with big tech helping them, because I don't know like if this has ever happened to you. Like I've never been banned, but like I've shared things like through direct messenger to
Mhm.
people, and where it just came back to me. It's like, oh, you can't send this because so this is misinformation, or this is not, like, you can't share this website. And
Yeah.
it's always like when I'm on a roll, I'm like, yeah, like I'm, and like I try to share like this information because like whenever you're talking to somebody that I guess is not as informed and you try and give them the information to like you're answering their questions. It's
Yeah.
never them providing you with any answers. It's always them. Oh no, but what about this? What about that? So I was like,
Yeah, there's like a lot of
it's
deflecting kind of shit.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
really frustrating because you try to give them the information and then either it doesn't go through, or then there's what are those fact checkers
Yeah.
that come out, or like what's the one that comes, like if you Google search something,
Hmm.
what's those, that one thing, the fact checker on Google too,
Like on Google search.
yeah, in Google search, when you search, like it's like
Oh,
one of
really?
the first things that comes up. Is it
Is it like
Snopes?
like Politico or
Yeah, it's like one of those.
Or Snopes.
I think it was Snopes too. It's like where
Snopes.
they're fact checking, and a lot of times
Yeah, Snopes.
and a lot of times too, what's funny about that is that they're sort of like washing the truth. Like if there's something true about it, they'll say it's false.
Yeah.
But then they'll hide that. They'll actually admit that it's actually true, but they'll hide it all the way to the very bottom. Like you have to read the whole thing.
Yeah. Like, did you guys ever check out that fucking the fortified the vote article that Times did a few months ago? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Certify the vote.
There was a Times, I think it's Times, where they pretty much explained like how the election was tampered with, but instead of saying like the vote was tampered, they just said that it was fortified. It was. I got.
Yeah, they use their little word magic.
Yeah, I gotta find that article again, but I like to go over it one day.
Wait,
but
weren't they like bragging about it and stuff? Like
pretty much, yeah.
they'll like how we worked so hard to make sure Trump wouldn't win. Like they
Yeah.
actually admitted it, but they didn't actually say like proper words. They used like
Oh, okay.
misleading words.
They even like mentioned that like there was people behind the scenes. Like it was the weirdest admission ever. I think they're.
I think I know what you're talking about. Like I think I kind of briefly read that. And
Yeah, I'll look for it.
yeah, like
another episode,
pull it up.
but-
Yeah, pull it up for like another episode because it's like so
Yeah.
many different things
Yeah, that was
that I've read too.
So warm. But also the idea of like flagging disinformation, I'm kind of against. Like if there's a claim that's bullshit, I want to look for why that claim is bullshit. I don't want people to tell me. I want to confirm it myself and why it's bullshit.
Mhm.
There's something dangerous about like having a higher power, dictate what is true and what is not.
I think that's what also makes like Elijah Schaefer and like Fleckas and a lot of these on the ground sort of like journalists is because they're on the ground actually reporting what's going on at events. And a lot of these other like CNN or these MSNBC, they either like they always like come at the very end or they're not there or it's just like them standing somewhere like in front of a green screen giving their propaganda. So you don't really have you can't like really judge for yourself, but like they're actually there on the
They're
ground.
risking their lives.
Exactly.
Yeah, Elijah Schaefer, like he's gotten his ass kicked a few times.
Yeah, he got his ass kicked. Yeah.
And he was even I think he even went inside the Capitol building on January 6th too, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I think he had like a pass though, like or some kind of like
Did he? Yeah.
pass to go in there. Yeah.
Yeah. But I definitely think like independent journalism is probably the only way to go now. I can't for the life of me understand why, like, if you find out that a source is blatantly lying to you, why ever follow that source again? I just don't understand it.
Because Orange Man.
Well, yeah. That's
He said that it was fake, so whatever is against what he says.
I mean, yeah, of course. Let me turn off my light real quick. Just give me a second.
Uh-oh. You guys want to move on to the next one? Oh, he's back.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we should actually
Number
move
12.
on to the next one before they start calling us conspiracy theorists.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 12. Most people value safety and security more than freedom and liberty, even if said safety is merely an illusion. Yeah, I think that's all what the masks are all about now.
Yeah, I believe that too.
Did you guys, the second you heard that a shutdown was happening, like when it was announced, did you guys have any like, what the hell is going on kind of feelings?
Yeah, like I thought it was gonna like just blow over. I was like, what the hell's going on? It's like because I was doing like a fair like out of town and like I just saw everybody packing up. I'm like, what's going on? It's like I want work. I want work. What's going on? Like, and then they told me that they yeah, they had like some kind of like state, was it a state emergency or like
Yeah.
lockdown? I'm like, well,
Yeah, I remember I was at work and everyone was starting to kind of panic. I was like, what was going on? And I heard, and like the second I heard like what was happening, I was like, this something feels a little off about this. Like how abrupt, how like how a few weeks ago no one was talking about it, and then all of a sudden it's this worldwide thing. Yeah, I had doubts from like day one about this.
I didn't. I actually fed into it for the first 2 months. But the reason why was because my friend who lives in Taiwan had just been traveling to China and everything. And when she came out, because she's from America, so she came out that Christmas. We hung out, we had lunch, and then I left, but I was staying at my sister's house, and I ended up getting sick.
Okay.
And she actually, when we were at lunch, she was actually talking about how her son was sick he's been sick like the whole trip. I honestly think that something was going on out there. I mean, but I think that when it comes to, but I mean, when it comes to these illnesses that come out, they're all the same. Like you look at the pattern of like Zika and what's the other one that came out, Ebola and stuff. So what happens? Like they go through these panics for like on the news for like a short period of time. They get you really, really revved up and scared.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, and I think the year prior was Zika, like 2 years prior was Zika.
I think so, yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, and I think that somebody got over, like one person came over from there to here with Zika or some shit. It was in the news. I remember that. And so when COVID happened, I was actually into thinking like I was looking at the news prior to there actually being news coverage of anything on COVID whatsoever.
Yeah.
Only because my friend had gotten me sick. So I had gotten sick, and I had gotten sick, and the thing is, my sister has super underlying illnesses. I mean, like she's got a list of them.
Yeah.
And she ended up getting sick, and she got super sick. I mean, like she was praying that she didn't die in the middle of the night sick. Yeah, it was bad.
Do you know?
And
like how sick? Was it like more than a cold, or would she have shivers?
It was like so basically she went from having a cold, just having like a regular like upper respiratory infection, upper respiratory like inflammatory thing going on, and then it like just developed into like immediately turned into pneumonia. Like there was no in between. It went straight to pneumonia for her, and like that whole time, so like she couldn't really breathe, she couldn't like everything she said was just super congested, like headaches, like it was bad. But she was fine. Like she got some medicine. What they gave her, she's already on, what is the one that was on the news?
The hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, she's actually already on the hydroxychloroquine due to her lupus, because she has lupus.
Okay.
She actually is already on there. So they gave her some they just gave her some like vitamin D or shots or shit.
Yeah.
And so when I got home, I was also sick. But I was barely sick. Like I basically just had like a rolling headache that was just like nonstop be there. Like it wouldn't go away. And I had a nasal drip that was just causing constant congestion, and it wouldn't go away. I would take no over the counter medicine would do anything. like which is interesting because like this happened to me in January to February.
Okay.
And I like when like normal healthy people started coming out with their symptoms of COVID,
Yeah.
they kind of matched up. You know, it's like every time that they try to take like a regular over the counter medicine or something from the store, it was like it wouldn't like work. Like it's like the mucus that it develops or something, like it's like different. It's just
Yeah.
different. Like it's weird. So
Yeah.
like again, this is before testing, this is before any of that crap
Yeah.
going on. So I started getting scared and paranoid that she carried whatever and I'm gonna die, because that's what everybody's like yelling out in the freaking public
Yeah.
about what's going on. It was like right at that cusp of them talking about it, finally talking about it in the news, was when I started getting scared. So then I went to the doctor, and they ended up giving me, and it turned out that I had like a nasal infection, and the nasal infection like due to whatever I was sick with, it caused like a nasal infection and would cause the nasal drip or whatever. And so they gave me when I'm gonna say like erythromycin. I don't know. It's like an anti-inflammatory,
Okay.
and vitamin D. It's a Z pack. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what they gave me. And then like literally within like less than a week, I was fine.
Did they say it was COVID, or they just said it was like
This is before COVID. This is
Okay.
this was literally right before
the whole hysteria
like
came?
the whole thing really burst into lockdowns. And
Yeah.
then this is like right like literally maybe a month before they started letting everything out. And I was already actually on top of the story of COVID, because there's a channel on YouTube I still listen to. I think it's called City Prepper. I think it was what it was called.
I haven't heard that one.
I mean, they haven't like posted anything like relevant to me anyway. I mean, they still post like really, really good stuff, but
Mhm.
I mean, like nothing that like keeps me like stuck into watching it right now.
Yeah.
But I was watching it nonstop, and he was talking about like the what is it called? The not the grid. What is it called? The graft of deaths going up and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, it was kind of like the show, his channel was like kind of feeding the fear, you know, because once like, but as I mean, you know, I keep saying as I like, you know, it's a, I don't know.
How long would you say like you kind of came over that?
Like
Like,
after like once
fear.
I figured it out that it's nothing. uh I was wearing masks before anybody in my neighborhood even thought that
Uh-huh.
masks were anything. Before
Yeah.
even like before anything got closed down. And I remember my neighbor saw me walking my dog and I had a mask on. And he's like, "Are you all right?"
Yeah. I've been seeing like Asian people wear masks for years.
Yeah.
All-
I know, like on the
I
bus,
never,
yeah,
I never bugged them or anything, or just
Yeah.
they probably
Oh,
have
it's
a
funny
cold.
because and then like after, it's funny because afterwards, after I figured everything out, I
Mhm.
saw him like a little more recent to like the middle of like pre-middle COVID. No, like close to like mid. I want to say fall. I saw him in the fall, and he had a mask on and I didn't.
Yeah.
And you know, it was like a reversal of everything. I was like,
Yeah.
I already went through the whole shock of it all. You know, I wore the mask. I didn't hoard toilet paper. I was worried that I couldn't find any damn toilet paper, you know, when I needed it. You know, one roll will last me like practically the whole month. You know, I'm just myself.
Yeah,
But
when I saw people like hoarding toilet paper, and
Yeah.
I just like, how much like shits do you take a fucking day? Jesus
Mhm.
Christ.
yeah, by then
Fuck.
that's when I started thinking it was bullshit. That's when I started
Yeah.
thinking it was bullshit. That's when I realized, and then after they shut us all down,
Mhm.
And then they said that, well, we're gonna reopen in June, or no, I think it was, like July. Wait, it was June, right?
I think
It was for
June.
4th of July. 4th of July. It was they were talking about the 4th of July stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, we're gonna open. We're trying to open by 4th of July or whatever on the news, and then it didn't happen. And then all the rioting stuff though was going on. And it's like, all this rioting shit's going on, but you won't let us do 4th of July.
Peaceful writing.
And that's when I knew that, yep, they're doing this to control the game board. That's what they're doing. This is the only way for them to get control. So that's what they're doing with it. They're keeping people locked away so that they can control how they can go out and vote.
Yeah, the whole election, they were using it against Trump. That was like their main goal. And it was like, yuck.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was to push mail voting.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah,
Well,
and then yeah.
I was just gonna say, well, it's like the same pattern. Like I anticipate the whole COVID thing being the same thing. It's always like one thing after the other because COVID came in on the tail end of the whole impeachment thing, the whole impeachment hoax.
Yeah.
Ukraine. And then what we do know about the whole COVID thing, it seems based off of like what I've heard from everybody, from Tara and all these other, that it specifically targeted people that were vulnerable to like illnesses, or like they had like there's something like an immune or weak immune system, and the elderly.
Yeah.
So that's why like the whole thing of packing the nursing homes in all these like democratic cities did not make any sense, because they did the opposite of, from what I mean, even from the beginning, we already knew that the elderly were one of the most vulnerable people to COVID. Like that's something that we knew, and that's something that the governors that forced the elderly into these nursing homes, that's something they did the opposite.
Didn't Gretchen like have like inmates with elderly people?
They had young people.
Yeah, that's when
with
that guy
COVID.
was punching the old guy.
Yeah. And did any accountability come from that on Gretchen's part, or no?
Well, I think she's like being investigated too, along with Cuomo.
Yeah.
Cuomo.
I definitely know that Cuomo is. I don't know about her though, but yeah.
I heard that she was being investigated, but I'm not. It's like hard to get some of this information. Like, well, it's like I don't. Like you have to like dig into like Rumble or BitChute to find any information.
Yeah. Steven Crowder, like since he was from Michigan,
Canada.
He lived in between Canada and Michigan. Okay. I don't remember which came first, but
the egg or
came first, and then
the egg or the chicken. Sorry.
He rallied people and was like, just like send emails and saying hashtag Whitmer death toll, or like to like see how many people actually legit died.
Yeah.
And to like get her to open up. Not like he was trying to dox or anything. Like he was super clear about that.
Yeah, he just wanted it to be like more transparent. I mean, it's not like we don't want to know like where she lives at. We just want to know like how she handled it.
Yep. So I think we should move on to the next one.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else want to read one, or should I just keep going?
Yeah, I think you're a good reader.
Okay. Hedonic. Is that a word? Hedonic adaptation occurs in both directions, and once inertia sets in, it is difficult to get people back to normal. Yeah. I kind of worry that LA is never gonna get back to normal for some reason.
Yeah, like where do you live at again? You live around like that area, right?
Around like Hollywood.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, because I was there like the other day. Like I was walking around before like an event, and just like the Hollywood area, it's like I know like it's always been kind of like bad, but like it's gotten even worse. Like I'm walking around, there's like all these homeless people around, there's like all these snobby, pretentious people walking around with their, I don't know, just like overpriced clothes or overpriced, and then there's like people eating like like $100. I just like so out of touch. Like, it's so much, so many. It just doesn't make any sense. And it's like I started thinking, like, while walking around, there's like a lot of these like movie stars. It's very ironic that even though they're like at one point they're like movie stars, why is it that we step on them now?
Mhm.
You know, like the Hollywood,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stars, like now it's like very symbolic. I try to look at like symbolism because it seems to be like reveal a lot of patterns, a lot of different things. Like, why is it that we're like stepping on the stars? Like, and it's like this, you walk over them, like, the hell?
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like they're giving their LA and Hollywood is just like sucking the soul out of like people.
Yeah.
And that's just like the
Oh
way I
yeah.
look at it. It's just
That,
people go there and then their soul is just like sucked into this ether oblivion. I don't know, like somewhere to like
it's interesting to notice because I've lived here all my life, like the evolution of homeless people here. Like they used to be like kind of fun and weird, and now they're just like angry and like they're about to fucking punch you in the face if you look at them wrong. Especially like
Yeah.
in Santa Monica. Man. Before they, you get a hobo that I don't know, maybe he does a dance and he's just a crazy dude. But now, like they're fucking tatted up and like just methed out, fucking let's like just snap at you. It's Hollywood too, man.
Well, the other thing too that I've seen, like there's like an increase like in younger people too, just going out there and like just giving up. It's like a lot of them like are I don't well I'm sure like everybody has like their own situation. I don't know what is it that they've gone through, but there's a lot of these 20 something year olds. I know they can. I mean, if they tried, they don't have to be where they're at. Like they don't have to like beg for food. I mean, I understand like if you're disabled and like you just don't have anywhere else to go, yeah, you might end up homeless. But like if you're healthy and you're young, you still have a chance. You still have a
Yeah,
chance. But a lot of these younger people are just like giving up at a really young age. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it the drugs or what is it? Just like they're just like
Yeah.
I don't know.
they're just roaming around.
It's sad. It's like they turn into zombies or something. You know what's interesting is that we have such a great outlet of stuff that we can get to that we can do online that can fund us, you know. I was homeless, you know, and if you were to see me, you wouldn't have known that I was homeless. I lived in my car, not very long. I was like maybe 3-4 months, and you wouldn't have known. Like you would have walked past me and you would have just thought that, oh, that's a cute outfit that she's wearing, you know, like you wouldn't know.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you know, there's like if you have a car, shoot, you can do deliveries, you can, you know, get money. Like shoot, as an artist, you can post crap online and people will
Yeah.
pay you for it. You know, there's always some kind of way that you can make money. It's now easier than ever to do it now than before.
Yeah.
Now, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, yeah, because like everybody's hiring now, but the thing is, like everybody's getting money from the government. So like when I was
That's
walking,
Yeah.
yeah, when I was walking through Hollywood, there's all these like homeless people, but then there's all these people hiring, all these like, well, mostly fast food chains like hiring, and like it doesn't make any sense. And then all these like smaller like businesses, they've closed down
Yeah.
because of the riots.
Small businesses here in LA, I don't think they're gonna really.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a while for them to come back.
Yeah.
Even working.
I think it's a mix between people that don't want to work because they're getting money to not do anything at all, and then I think that
Mhm.
another part of it is that there's people that want to work but they don't want to sit there and go back to working mediocre jobs that are getting them nowhere,
Mhm.
and not being able to sustain themselves while living in California. I mean, I think that that's like the big one, especially in California.
Not only that, like where I work, because everyone's so like frightened of COVID, like if someone has like a headache, they're gonna be out for like 2 weeks, and like it's just making the environment like everyone that's just working is feels like a lot more overworked and everything like that. Yeah,
It sucks.
it's not a good look for LA,
Yeah.
man. Like
Unfortunately, they're like the California's economy is kind of going down the shitter. I mean, like I don't see it not going into like bankruptcy or some crazy crap like that. I don't know if states can go into bankruptcy, but That's what it seems like. Like
Also too, like Hollywood in itself, like the mainstream industry, whatever you want to call it, it's sort of like it doesn't have that appeal. I think nowadays, like because of the internet, people can just do shit on their own. They don't need like a Hollywood studio, and plus the stuff that Hollywood's turning out nowadays, it's just not as good. It's not fun. Plus, they're getting into this woke shit. It's
yeah, they are.
like they're tainting their brand, and I don't think Hollywood or in general is like I don't think they have what it takes to like correct the ship. I think they've absorbed themselves with this woke crap, and they can't pull out. I don't know what it is.
Well, that's like the one thing I've also noticed, because I'm always looking at patterns. Like I've noticed that a lot of like events that I've done, like in the past, like a few years ago, like I would do like a lot of like Hollywood sort of like events and some of these like fancier homes. Like I haven't done any of those like over like the last couple of years, 3 years. Like I haven't really done any. Like I used to go to like some of these fancy sort of like houses in like in the Hollywood Hills. Not so much anymore. Like it's all like just mostly just like regular people like
Yeah,
us,
yeah, yeah.
just regular people like still working, still like so in the way that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
definitely I don't think Hollywood is going to recover from this, or but the thing is it's just like there's, as long as we have we're playing with this monetary system, like it's just it just, even though like we're not paying attention to them as much, it's still, I mean, we're still on the fiat, we're still using this
Yeah.
fake money. So there's
I think that California, I think that all the states and the whole entire United States, I think everything can always go back to normal. I think that all of this can easily go back to normal. It's just that they don't want it to go back to normal. So they just keep dragging it along. It's a dead horse that they're literally just dragging along the freaking cart. That's what they're doing with it.
I think too, like LA, it feels like LA has to like sustain like this image, and like when we go back to the full image of someone just wearing a mask nowadays, I think they just do it mainly just a virtue signal. And I think Hollywood in itself or LA, they just can't like they can't move on from the mask. I think they're so addicted to just virtue signaling and looking like they're so good moral.
Important.
Yeah. That I think they just can't let it go. And
they're slowly getting off the masks thing. So now it's not the masks anymore. It's more about you getting shot.
Yeah, and I think that's going to even worsen things.
Yeah. So now, like the panic of, I don't know if my neighbor has it,
Yeah.
Like all these people, like I think that a part of that was like them posting pictures with their, vaccination card. It's like, yeah, I did it. They know that they did it, so now they want everybody else to know that they did it, but they also want you to do the same thing that they just did. It's a little bit of bullying. In that aspect.
Well, what was interesting is like some of the first cases too of COVID were celebrities, or like Tom Hanks and like all these sports stars. And
was it really?
Yeah, like some of the ones that they're promoting on the MSN is like, oh yeah, look at Tom Hanks, like even he's not immune to like the COVID, like you can get it, and everybody's like freaking out, oh no, Tom Hanks. And
I've heard some other things about Tom Hanks, but
oh yeah, that's like for another day though.
I think that's another episode.
So did I.
And
I've heard a few things about Tom Hanks.
And another thing too that before I forget is like, I don't know, like if you guys with the whole Hollywood thing just never coming back and entertainment just not really coming back, I think they just have like an unlimited amount of money to do whatever it is. So it's like that's the way that they're gaslighting us, because if you go to like any supermarket, there's like a rack of like magazines. It's like, who the hell is buying all those magazines? And they're like $10. The People magazine, all these gossip magazine. There's like maybe one or two people with subscriptions, or like maybe not. Like I used to buy them like every now and then. Like nobody buys them. Like the only reason I used to buy them because I used to draw from them. But like nobody is buying them. But how is it that they never go out of business? It's because they have an unlimited amount of money that it just never. So like they're propping up this illusion like, oh yeah, look at Tom Cruise, look at
Mhm.
so and so. It's like they're never gonna run out of money, but like we're the ones that have a lot more power because we
Yeah.
actually have something of value to offer. Because we're actually the ones, yeah.
That's the one thing that like, it's weird to say, but like I kind of enjoy about the COVID thing because it sort of exposed like just how uninteresting celebrities in Hollywood really are, and how like one dimensional they are, how they think.
Oh yeah, I hate celebrities now.
Yeah. Like,
I don't I think I follow maybe 3 or 4 celebrities like in the whole world. I don't like them.
yeah, that's the one thing I do like, just noticing like how uninteresting, fucking some actor I used to like,
Yeah.
he's just a douche now. And
Well, they're so like so
Them
out of
all.
touch. Yeah, they're so out of
yeah,
touch.
yeah. Because like Joe Rogan had he had, what's his name, Robert Downey Jr. on, and I tried to give that episode a listen, but I was just so bored. But if he has on like Jordan Peterson on, like someone that's not a celebrity, they're far more interesting. They have more stuff to talk about. It's kind of fun in that sense. Like realizing just actors are just people acting. There's nothing special about them. And I think that like that Humpty Dumpty thing, I think it's broken, and I don't think it's going to come back. All right, let's go to the next one.
Next one.
Let's see. A significant percentage of people thoroughly enjoy being subjugated.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like a couple of these that are kind of like they sort of overlap, but
Yeah.
we can answer this one, but
You could skip this one.
or
Yeah, I mean, it's a bummer, man. Like people just like to be controlled now. It's
yeah.
odd. Like
Well,
what I've
nobody,
noticed. Go ahead.
well, like nobody wants to think for themselves. In a way, like they're not gonna admit it, but they like being dominated. They
Mhm.
like they don't want to like go through the trouble of like, oh, okay, what am I gonna do today? It's like
Yeah.
people become afraid. Like once you start listening to your own thoughts, they're like, oh shit, like what am I gonna do? It's like they like a little bit like, oh, okay, do this, do that. Like even like when if you're gonna sell something to somebody, if you give them too many options, they'll kind of get confused. But like if you just like narrow it down to 2 things, they're like, okay, I'll pick
Yeah.
B. Instead of like you sort of have to guide them to what you want them to buy.
And also like it feels like people like sort of judge good leadership if it has like an overbearing quality to it now. Like freedom looks like, it seems like the left is kind of making freedom a right wing position, and that sucks for people like me who
yeah,
I
well,
was
yeah.
I was always like pretty left leaning, and like now when I advocate for any kind of freedom, like I'm immediately typecasted as like a right winger. What the hell is going on here?
Well, nobody wants to be put like in awkward like positions. Like they don't want to answer like the tough question. They always want to just say, oh no, I get along with this person, I get along with that person. Like they don't want to answer the tough questions. And that's what I've noticed about conservative sort of values, or like a little more right leaning values, is that you actually have to stand for something versus nothing. When you're like left leaning, it tends to be just like you don't have to really like make up your mind on anything. You just have to say the right things, like, oh yeah, I like
Yeah.
everybody. Well, that's not really making up you're not really standing for anything. You're just agreeing with everybody. You're just being a pushover.
Yeah, that's what worries me for the future for the left. Like the left is going way too insane, and speaking for like just the average person that considers themselves like part of the left, like I don't think the average person has like any mechanism in them to like question or even say like just question things and just say stop to some of the shit with anything too. Like the trans kids issues, and we can't say stop to that. Like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, another example I think I was going to say too, in terms of like people not wanting to think and having other people dominate them, is just like the mask or even like the vaccine. And especially like if for people that are healthy, that are showing like no symptoms, that are young, like it just doesn't make any sense to like wear a mask. It's almost, to me, what's more important is to take care of yourself. Like why is
Yeah.
the mask even that important? Like if you woke up, you exercise a little bit, or you walked, you went to go run, you tried eating healthy, like that's why isn't that being advocated? Why isn't there any commercial? Oh, you should wait. Like
Because
it
it's
would be good
body
to-
shaming.
it's like, yeah, exactly. Like
Hmm.
they've kind of like inversed everybody. They flipped everything. It's like, oh, well, some things that you can do is like you can go run, you can eat this. There's like certain healthy foods. That
COVID's
these
at the
are,
beach.
yeah, it's like instead of like, so instead of taking responsibility, doing like the easy things. To me, those are easy things. You don't have to like be shredded and have like a six pack. Just like try to be mindful of like what it is that you're eating, and like just exercising a little bit,
Yeah.
and just
Speaking of six packs, Muscle
Well-
Beach is still shut down.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Venice in general. I'm not going to step
Yeah.
foot in Venice anytime fucking soon, man.
It's slowly letting like a lot of the like ice cream places and little restaurants in the food areas.
Uh-huh.
Those places are all open now, and the beach is all open. The skate park and stuff, that's been open. The only thing that I have not seen open is Muscle Beach. Like people are playing tennis and stuff, all that jazz. But
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, they even reopened the
basketball
pier.
court or
Oh yeah, the basketball court is also in use. Everything is, like I said, everything is.
Oh, okay.
Like the pier, everything is except for Muscle Beach.
Okay, I know. Like
Interesting.
at one point they were like putting like locks on basketball like rims. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's
Oh
like,
my God.
it's like, what's so dangerous about like playing
Yeah.
basketball? It's like, if anything, it's kind of racist.
They should put some
It's like,
hand sanitizer on the net, so every time someone makes a dunk, it like spurts out.
Yeah, like a little squirter kind of thing happens.
yeah.
Yeah,
If Hillary Clinton was in charge, she'd probably have like hot sauce dipped like on the top of the rim.
Oh yeah,
Hot sauce, like.
she's fantastic. Man. She's great.
Is it working? Is it working?
If Hillary was president, she would still be in war. We would be in war with Russia right now.
Yeah, she's. Did you guys ever? There was a clip where she like tried to talk like a Southern woman.
Oh
my
Yeah.
She's
She
like,
goes
I
back-
know ways tired or something like that. It's like you don't talk like that. It's
AOC
Yeah.
did it too.
Yeah,
who?
yeah.
Oh yeah. She
AOC.
talks. She does like
She
the
does it. She does
clappy-
it all the time. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
I definitely want to do an episode on AOC because she's something else, man.
Oh yeah, like remember when what was the name of that one? Is it Cory Booker, the one he was trying to like talk in Spanish? Is that his name?
Ew, yeah.
It was like
Ugh.
I was like, what the hell is he saying?
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh,
espero que
God. It's so. Yeah.
I mean, have you guys seen the Kamala Harris one where like I don't know, I think it was before the election. She's like she went to like all of these like Mexican community or something,
Mhm.
like in a certain area, and she was like, "Si sin puedes" or something like that. She like
Oh, sí se
pronounced,
puede.
Oh.
Ew.
but she
Oh.
said puedes, like she just
Yeah.
like mispronounced it, and it was
Yeah.
just that's what she said. And I
I
was
think
just
Cory
like,
Booker was the worst though. He
Was
the
it
worst.
Nancy Pelosi? Because I think what's the name, Joe Biden did the same thing too, or she was trying to say "si se puede," but instead of saying "si se puede," it sounded like "si pudding." It's like all the elderly was like were lighting
"Si
up. Like, oh, pudding? Is it pudding around here? Bill Cosby shows up for no reason. He's like,
"Oh no."
you smell good too.
Let's do another one. Let's see. The science has evolved into a secular pseudo-religion for millions of people in the West. This religion has little to do with science itself. That is a big fucking slam dunk.
Yeah.
Because there's a cultiness growing.
Yeah.
The vaccine shit with. Have you guys seen like any of those Fauci is awesome videos, like
Oh
Yeah.
goodness.
those songs and music videos? Like,
Yeah.
it's just
Well,
douchey.
yeah. Well, there's like a conflict of interest because like Michael Crichton, like I don't know if you guys ever read Michael Crichton. I always like bringing him up because he's like one of the people that actually like woke me up to a little bit.
Mhm.
Is that he in a lot of his books he mentions this a lot. There's like a conflict. There's a lot of where science has been politicized, and the reason it's been politicized because a lot of them, a lot of the grants that they get are dependent off of like the results that they get. So if they don't
Yeah.
come to the conclusion of what the people that are funding them want them to come up with, like they're just not going to get the grants.
Yeah.
So they might say something in private and then like in public, they might report something else just because their grant money is dependent off of it. So a lot of like, science is just has been, yeah, it's tainted, it's politicized.
It's been like that for a while too.
Yeah, it's been, yeah.
Like, do you know who Patrick Moore is? He's
I do not.
he's some guy. He was one of like the founders of Greenpeace in Canada, and yeah, he's totally flipped. Like he saw like Greenpeace like get kind of corrupted by like donors and shit like that, and grow into like this anti-human kind of sentiment. And yeah, he talks about like just how science and activism kind of really should go hand in hand. And,
I don't like
yeah.
nonprofits. I don't like
Yeah.
them at all.
yeah, but
I
should
just
always
feel like they're like all slowly, like secretly corrupt.
yeah, they have like a big corporate feel to them, and that's never good.
Yeah, because they actually work for the government too. It's like that's why they're kind of like considered like non-governmental
Mhm.
like places, just because they're actually working with the government. They're
Yeah.
funding. It's like because and that takes away the like the government doesn't have to admit, oh, they're actually we're using your tax money for this, because even because the non-governmental agencies are the ones that are doing it for them, but the government or like our tax money is going to some of these agencies, these nonprofits, these non-governmental agencies.
Yeah.
So it's like the way it's like their loophole. And I think I forget where I watched or where I read that a lot of these migrants that are coming from Mexico and from like other countries, they've been sponsored by a lot of these like nonprofit organizations that were actually funded by the government. So we're actually
Yeah.
paying for a lot of these people to fly over to like our country, to this country.
Yeah, man. I do think that science is kind of fucked for the future.
I mean, it's always been kind of corrupted since probably I don't know. I can't say Darwinism, but
Yeah.
like I don't know, as like growing up going to a private Christian school, I was like we like kind of like looked at like just like we learned just kind of like the different perspectives and stuff, but it's always been like atheists
Yeah.
are so intense against Christians. And Christians are just like, well, I disagree.
Mhm.
And like they'll get into debates and stuff, but it's like like so many atheists like we see like are just so hardcore about evolution that it becomes religion.
Yeah, that's one thing that kind of turned me away from atheism.
Yeah.
Just
It's
like
like
the sureness of it kind of turned me away of it.
because like at a
That's
certain point, like there's so many things that science doesn't even cover. Like science doesn't cover like the human, like any spiritual aspect of the world, or like certain things that can't be measured by science. There's quite a few things that can't.
True.
Yeah, but also like there's this thing where it's kind of grown into this thing where like you're either a religious person or a science person. Like there's no blending of it. And astrologers back in the day, like they were religious, and they also looked into this shit. Like it feels like it's grown more anti-religion as it's gone.
And it's like they're not polar opposites. You can put them hand in hand
Yeah.
if you want.
Not that anyone's like, if someone's atheist, they're not a good scientist or anything like that, but
Yeah.
it just feels like there's this weird animosity between science and religion, and I don't think that's very good for science in general, because it's
No.
making it kind of uppity and this.
Like, oh, it's the complete opposite and absence of religion. But
Yeah.
I think they can definitely be tied together.
Because one of my favorite like science teachers, community college, he was an astrology teacher. He was super dorky with it, but he was also super religious, and he would even talk about like the first time he saw something like actually I think Saturn or something like that, like seeing that like made him believe in God, because it was like something that was so beyond him, and it was something really genuine to hear. And like on a mainstream level, you don't really hear that kind of perspective anymore.
It sort of like humbles you, right?
Yeah,
Instead of
yeah,
just
yeah.
versus like atheism is just like, oh, I know everything. Like it's almost like it's almost like saying that you're God. And
It
it's like, I
is.
know it's, I know like I'm insulting some atheists, but it is, it seems.
Yeah.
Well, they
Yeah.
admit that, and it's like, well, whatever, but like you can do what you want.
Let's go.
Like it's also yeah.
You want to finish your point? Go ahead.
Nah.
Okay.
Slam dunk.
Let's go to the number 16. Most people care more about looking like they are doing the right thing rather than actually doing the right thing. Yeah, that's the mask. Or
Yeah, the same, yeah.
Yeah, well,
you just want to be left alone.
I don't think the left has what it takes to just leave people alone. That's the thing that worries me. If anything. With the CRT shit they're trying to push out, like they just can't leave things alone.
Yeah, the CRT I think is like a big, like huge example of that right there. They have to push whatever it is to make everybody else believe in it.
Yeah, it's this weird cultural takeover. It feels like if you're not playing along with that delusion, you're going to be ignored or pushed aside or seen as like an apostate.
Or racist.
Yeah. It's just like, do you think a possible like a culture, a countrywide divorce is going to be like in the future? Like states like disassociate themselves from the union. I have heard people bring that up.
Yeah, I've heard rumors.
Yeah.
There's like 30 something percent of the country wants to like secede and divorce from each other. And it's not just like, oh yeah, like conservatives want to like get out of there.
No.
It's like leftists want that.
Yeah.
Too. And it's like, I think it's entirely possible if tensions keep growing.
Yeah.
Civil war will definitely, I think, happen. What's interesting is that I read a book. I read a book by Sylvia Brown.
Oh yeah, I remember.
She used to be like the psychic that came on
Montel Red and Oprah.
Montel Williams.
Oh yeah, I remember her. Yeah.
She actually said in one of her books, it was like a prediction book, like apocalyptic predictions.
Yeah.
She actually talked about a civil war breaking out around this time, 2020,
Mhm.
a civil war breaking out, and said that it would be between conservatives and the left and liberals. There you go, conservatives and liberals, or the right and the left.
Just like the
Yeah.
yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like, but I feel like most of the country is like center.
Yeah, I
Like,
think most
Yeah.
people just don't want to play along with whatever the left is doing. And
yeah,
it's not necessarily like a liberal versus conservative thing. I think it's just people that just don't want to play with this loony lefty shit.
well, and I think, do you think maybe like if there was a civil war and we ended up balkanizing, do you think that would make it easier for the globalists to go ahead with their agenda?
Yeah, I think it definitely kind of will, because like if the left begins to lose, I think they're just gonna probably like what do you call it, like bring in whatever, China, whatever, and maybe kind of like a Cold War, like team up with them to take on the rest of the country. That'd be just a guess.
I mean, China's starting to make their move, and it'd be kind of scary if we were taken over by China
Oh, odd.
or
How
any
do you know we're
communist.
how do you know we're not already?
That's
Uh,
Are you
a
very
fair point.
I was gonna say, did you guys hear about what's going on in Australia?
Kinda.
Oh wait, did I send you guys the link?
Yeah, but you can talk about it on the show.
Yeah, with Australia like going into like New World Order. Somebody else sent me a link also, so it's like backed up. It's like real legit stuff.
Yeah, I know they're trying to deport Katie Hopkins, which is bizarre. I don't know if you guys know who Katie Hopkins is, but
I
I
do
don't know.
not.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know who that is either.
I think she was like on like the British version of The Apprentice or something like that. Yeah,
Oh, no wonder I don't know who she is.
she's pretty awesome. I do like her. She's typecasted as like a right winger, but I don't really see it that way. I think she's just more of a capitalist, and she's not ashamed of it. But yeah, she's been anti-mask, and they're trying to deport her from Australia because of it.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, it seems like anybody that just kind of disagrees with the status quo is like always like extreme right wing Hitler
Yeah.
sort of like typecast.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a guy I follow. I've been following for a while. Some guy named Sargon of Akkad.
Oh yeah,
You know who he is? Yeah, he's
I
great.
do.
And if you go to the Wikipedia page, like they name him like a far right extremist, and
He's
he's
not.
completely not. He's a super left leaning guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The left is kind of like in a witch hunt mode right now. They just call everyone right wing extremist. And it's a shame. It's a shame to see that the left is losing its mind.
It's just like, I feel like a lot of it's like the news is labeling people like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just to polarize and make tensions.
So I think a lot of people we agree on more things than they think.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Paul, like when he was on here too, like if you remember, he was saying that he would like disagree with somebody online, or somebody would disagree with him, and then they would get into sort of, I guess, a fight online. But then he would call them up, and then as soon as he would call them up, they'd be like, "Hey, what's up, man? What's going on?" I was like, "It's cool, we're cool." And it's people, the way people act, sort of like when there's no consequence to their words or their actions, like they're like a different person. But as
Yeah.
soon as like you're sitting there across from another person, we're like a lot more alike. But it's like something I don't. It's yeah. It's I think we're just more alike than we think. It's just like the news is like very divisive and like the master instigators right now.
Hmm.
Yeah, social media definitely does like enable, maybe because like this disconnected feeling when you're talking to people versus doing something on social media. Like it enables like a nastiness in people. It's bizarre. Which is why like I was never totally a social media guy. I picked up on that years ago, and yeah, it's weirdly gotten worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, do people
It-
like enjoy social media doing shit like that? Like being,
It's addictive.
is it?
Yeah, because like getting like a certain amount of likes on a post will like release kind of like, I
Endorphin
don't know if it's
rush.
endorphins or serotonin, but
Uh,
one of those.
Yeah,
And
there's
it's
been
just
like,
kind of,
oh yeah.
it's just addicting. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say there's actually been studies and stuff about how uh social media like affects like teens and stuff, and like what it like how it's transitioned to like a human gratification like thing. Whenever you get a like, whenever you get some kind of acknowledgement, it gives you like a sense of euphoria. And
If
and they
you
were
don't
talking
meet
about
that,
how, oh yeah, if you don't meet like a certain like criteria of likes or whatever, it affects like your mood. And they're talking about um how social media is causing teens and the growth of depression to spike because of the whole
Yeah.
social media liking posts.
Well,
yeah,
oh, I don't know if you guys have noticed. I haven't like read any of these articles. I think I saw them like on either the Gateway Pundit or the New York Times. But it seems I've only read like the headlines just because I'm not really that interested. But it's a lot of these influencers have been dying really young, and it seems like I don't know if it's just organized, like if it's really happening or what, or being gaslit, but like over like the last few weeks, it seems that there's like all these articles of like these young influencers on Instagram just dying. I don't know, but I haven't
like,
read any other. I don't know, have you guys read? I don't know if it has anything to do with being depressed because it's
are they like overdosing or like
yeah,
suicides?
that's why I haven't read any of the articles, but I'm assuming maybe it has something to do with like after a certain point, like you get all these like likes, and after a while, it's like okay, at first, initially, maybe you get this gratification that comes over you, but the thing is, after a certain amount of time, it's just like a drug. After a certain time, you're gonna need like a higher dose each and every single time, and when they're just not getting that, it's just not enough. I don't know, maybe they're overdosing, like you said, but I haven't read any articles like of how they're dying.
Yeah.
But some of them are like accidents too, I think, from doing stupid things.
So weird.
Have you guys read any like recently? I just read the headline. I'm like, another one? But I'm
I
not.
don't follow like anything dealing with like social media
Yeah.
influencers that are just famous for being influencers. It's a weird niche of celebrity that I just don't understand. So I
Yeah, I
stay
mean
out
the
of it.
only celebrity that I know of that's online, like an online celebrity, is like Ron Paul or something. But
Yeah. Yeah, like I list like the people
wait,
I
is it Ron
follow.
Paul? Sean Paul? What is? Okay,
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul.
there
Yeah.
you go, Logan
Ron
Paul.
Oh
Paul,
yeah, yeah.
I
Ron,
Right.
like Ron Paul. I like Ron
Yeah,
Paul.
Ron Paul's awesome, but
he's
Logan
good.
Paul, I
Yeah,
don't really
Logan
know what the
Paul.
hell he is. Is
Oh
he just
well.
a guy or like a musician?
He's kind of a awful person.
Oh yeah, he's like
I mean,
the
he's grown as a person. Like, I mean, he took up like what is it, boxing or something?
Mm-hmm.
But he, I
The
don't
only
remember if it was him or his brother that like they went to the suicide forest in
Yeah.
Japan.
yeah.
yeah, I remember
That's what I was
that.
saying.
That was the main controversy, but I mean, I've always they were
Was
like born in Ohio, so
was that
I've
real
always
or was that fake? Do you know?
No, that was a real
That was
thing
a real
that
thing.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they were like, they got in trouble for that, but
Yeah.
they're just kind of,
Well, they didn't get in trouble.
yeah, they just got a lot of backlash online.
Yeah, they didn't get in trouble for it. They were just outed out as weirdos, honestly.
Morally wrong.
Yeah.
I watch a Celebrity Family Feud once in a while, and the other day they had like social media influencers as like the celebrity, and I was just blown away just watching like, who the fuck are these people?
Yeah.
Like one was some chick named like Iwu or something like that, and she's wearing like an annoying fuzzy like rainbow jacket, and the other chick was some dancer, and the crowd was cheering like, hey, but I had no idea who these people were, and to find out they were just social media people was just so bizarre. Like they don't offer anything in talent; they're just famous because they're just popular for some reason. It's odd. What a weird evolution of celebrity. It's so weird. Let's get to the next one. Number 17. Politics, the media, science, and the healthcare industries are all corrupt to varying degrees. Scientists and doctors can be bought as easily as politicians. Yes, it's amazing to me that people don't realize that doctors can also be sleazy like politicians. I don't understand.
Mhm.
Yep.
Like they're not. It's not like Jordan. They're not athletes. They're just people that could be slimy.
Yeah, I think that the way that they get away with it too is that when you're like you consider yourself like more liberal or more
Uh-huh.
not conservative, like you don't have to like live up to any values. You don't, so it's like very easy for them to like flip flop.
Yeah,
They never really have to like be consistent on anything.
yeah,
So I think that's how they sort of get away with it too. It's like they have like no values. Just like, yeah,
yeah,
I said that's what I said last week, but now it's this. Okay, Mr. Scientist. Sure.
I
but
think like doctors in their field. Okay, so like I don't know, as kids we're taught like through kids shows like, oh, doctors help people and it's like a good, they're good people. And then we go and realize like so many people go into the medical field because it pays good money.
yeah, yeah,
That's why
Yeah.
a lot of them are there. And
Mhm.
it's it's kind of a nightmare. Like I've had a lot of doctors in the past just because of my health.
uh-huh.
And like the best ones are the ones with the weird practices. Like non-traditional medicine,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
microcurrent therapy, acupressure, um, just like stuff
Yeah,
that isn't normally practiced. And then you go to like these big fancy hospitals and like the doctors there are just like, here's this catch-all diagnosis and we're going to put you on these really expensive meds or we're going to send you to pain management.
yeah,
They get lots of money just to do that. They just wave their hand. They're like, oh, goodbye.
yeah. My brother's been working at a hospital for like a few weeks, and he works at the VA, and he was telling me that like he notices like the patients themselves and like the nurses are like in rough shapes, but like the doctors come out of like brand new cars and shit like that, all printed up. They're like
Mhm.
celebrities and shit like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think there's like a disconnection. There's
Yeah.
this one book that I read from Michael Crichton because I don't know if you guys were aware. He actually was studying to be a doctor. He was like a doctor. He went to medical school. So a
Really?
lot, yeah, he went to medical school, and like one of his first book is like an autobiography. It was like nonfiction, and he wrote about like a lot of the malpractice that was going on. I don't know, it was like the 70s or 80s that was going on, like when he was um trying to become a doctor, and there's like the lack of accountability, like when doctors were like amputate the wrong leg, and he was talking about there's like a lot of disconnection too of the doctors were they knew how they approached it from what they learned, but it seemed that they wouldn't actually listen to their patients. It was more like, okay, we have to do this procedure, and that's what we have to do because science told me that this is what I have to do. But they wouldn't actually listen to their patients. Versus he actually did like an experiment where he actually um, started asking his patients or patients in this hospital about themselves. So, for example, like somebody would have like a heart attack, and he would actually ask them like really personal questions, like, "Why did you like something like you would think the person would get really mad at them,
Yeah.
mad at you for asking?" Is like, and he would ask him like, "Why did you have a heart attack?" And the person would not, they wouldn't answer him like mad. They would actually say, "Well, you know what? Actually, like I just got a divorce, and like my wife left me for a younger guy, stuff like that, or like my daughter is dating this asshole that is taking advantage of her, like that,
Yeah.
and a lot of it was psychological or emotional, had to do with the patient. So and it seemed that the doctors did, a lot of the doctors, I guess at the time especially, weren't really listening to their patients, and that's why he got out of that field and started writing his books. And that's why a lot of the stuff that he writes about is really credible, because he was in that field. That's all I have to say about him
I mean, yeah,
for now.
I love Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I love that movie too.
Like, I listened to the book, like as an audiobook, and it was so good.
Yeah. What makes it so awesome, I think, is it's so credible. Like it just like the whole scientific concept of like being able to like extract the DNA from amber. There's like some tangibility to it, so you can kind of
They're
believe
able
that.
to. They're doing stuff like that with like woolly
Yeah.
mammoths. Like they can. They've been genetically working with
Mhm.
elephants to make them look like them. And the real question is, it's like, well, is it really a woolly mammoth if it's just an elephant that looks like it? But stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I just like the concept that just because humans can do something doesn't mean they should do something.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
as
exactly.
as I've gotten older, like when I was a kid, I just liked everything to do with dinosaurs in that movie. But now there's the part when like they're having dinner or lunch and there's like those like pictures slides in the back. You know what I'm talking about? That scene.
Yeah.
And like that conversation, I've grown to like really appreciate that scene because the conversation, like the point of it is so good. Uh what's Jeff Goldblum's character?
Ian Malcolm.
Ian Malcolm. Like his point is like there's just this cool theme that's like portrayed in that conversation of like like the unpredictable or predictable chaos that comes from trying to control something that may not
That isn't even
should.
made by humans.
Yeah. It's such a cool scene, and it's like as I've gotten older, like I like that's become like one of my more favorite scenes in the movie. It has nothing to do with like there's no dinosaurs in it, but just the conversation itself. It's so like it foreshadows the rest of the movie, but also like establishes that theme of like chaos versus order. So it's so damn good. I love that. I love that scene.
Hmm.
I've never like audiobook the actual book. I've only just seen the movie, but always hear it's just awesome.
Movie's pretty good.
Mhm.
All right, let's go to the next one before you talk more about Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
I fucking hate those Jurassic World movies. Shit's
The last one, yeah.
it's terrible. Anyways, if you make people comfortable enough, they will not revolt. You can keep millions docile as you strip their rights by giving them money, food, and entertainment. Yeah, that's a big
Yep.
bummer about reality right there.
Hmm.
That's what makes me worry about the future of LA, because like there should be at least some kind of like I don't know, like an anger towards like the state as to like what they did to this, what they did to the city, but like there's none of that.
Yeah. Well,
There's-
everybody has like their price. Like some people are getting vaccinated for like a coupon for like a burger, and there's other people like
Yeah.
winning like $1 million they're getting like $1 million to get vaccinated because they got vaccinated.
Yeah. Like I remember in work there was some guy was talking about like I heard that there's like a chicken shortage at like his market and shit like that, and you know
Mhm.
that should like open up like a fuck where they do this city. But he was just like so like, well, I guess I'll just have to eat a lot of vegetables now. Or something. I think there was such like a defeated sound and when he said that, it was just fuck man, where's the fight in people in the
Yeah, people
city?
will eat like fake meat.
Yeah.
Well, that's like what Bill Gates is trying to do. He's like trying to come up with like this fake meat.
Oh yeah, is he?
Non meat.
Yeah, the Beyond Meat, try to make it seem like it's like delicious, but you look at the pack, it just looks disgusting. It's like that's not real meat. You can tell.
I've had it before. It tastes kind of weird.
You know that they're slowly like moving that Beyond Meat stuff into like chicken nuggets and stuff that they eat at fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
The other day, me and my boyfriend we got Domino's, and I swear the cheese was vegan cheese. It wasn't even real cheese.
Like you could taste it, or
Yeah, I can totally taste it.
Yeah,
Especially the next day.
You're vegan, right? Or
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. Kind of.
So aren't they pushing like eating bugs now? I remember watching a Tim
Yeah.
Pool video where there were
Oh
articles
no,
like,
he wasn't pushing that. He was just like,
oh no, he wasn't pushing it, but I think the article was talking about it, or like something like that. No?
I feel like that's kind of out of context, but
Okay.
I don't remember clearly. It's really late here.
'Cause I've heard like just random people like walking down the street like overhearing them, and they're like talking about like eating bugs and shit like that. Like it's like they're getting this somewhere. Where I don't know.
It's not like you can eat the bugs in cities. You have to like, if you're living in the country, the bugs are fine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the point is that they want to like use the bugs to make like makeshift fake meat.
Oh, ew.
Yeah, kind of like
like ground bugs.
Yeah,
Ground
basically
roaches.
brown bugs mixed in with something else to develop and like have it grow into something else.
80% lean guts.
Yuck.
There was like a documentary, like a short documentary that I had watched like years ago, and it was about that very same thing. And it like and they're talking about like growing cells from out of like a petri dish. So technically it's not real meat. It's like they're taking like plant DNA and bug DNA, and then they're making it grow into something else that's not meat. Like, yeah, it's really kind of gross. Think about it.
Gross.
But
Yeah.
I think that they're probably going to mix it in with like human fetal tissue, since they seem to be loving human fetuses, and they'll probably just grow human tissues and then feed that to people. Soylent Green.
They,
Do that to people.
I mean, it was, I mean, I don't know, because there's not much nutrition in anything human. But
How do you know? How do you know?
I just
Oh,
like
no.
I remember hearing somewhere that like if like you actually don't get much nutrition from eating human meat, and like it could actually like harm you, but it's not like you're getting
Like
you're not getting much from it.
Yeah, but they don't care about that. They just care about selling fake meat.
But I mean,
Think of what
like,
happened with the dairy industry. That's what they did with that. I mean, they were pumping dairy cows with hormones and stuff, and now we have breast cancer, but nobody gave a shit about it back then. So now we got breast cancer making milk cows, and we just eat it up, right?
Fair. But like they have the technology that they've been growing like human organs, inside of pigs, like a human
Oh,
heart,
yeah,
a
yeah.
liver,
Hmm.
and
See,
like
stuff like that.
transfer. It just like makes me think of the whole Jurassic Park thing. Like, I mean, it's like human organs is fine, I guess, but it's also kind of like, well, in the long run, what does this look like?
Yeah.
There's a movie that me and my mom is like super freaking obsessed with, Carnosaurs, and that was about like genetically altered dinosaurs. Were they? I don't know if they were genetically altered chicken eggs, or if there was like if it was like they were mutated chicken eggs. I can't remember if that was the point. I want to find that movie so that I can rewatch it, because I saw it when I was like maybe like 6 or 7 years old.
I think that was like a straight to video movie, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it totally was.
I think I've seen it.
Carnosaurs. My mom stopped eating eggs for years because of that movie.
Let's go to the next one. We're almost done. 19. Modern people are overly complicit and lack vigilance when it comes to defending their own freedoms from government overreach. Yeah, I mean, that kind of goes with number 18. Yeah, it's just weird that, like, you think it's a conditioning that people like have lost that edge, or where did this come from? Where did like the lack of like looking at government overreach with some kind of suspicion? Now it's just like it's more welcome.
I think that everybody's become way too comfortable with the government. You know, it's been pretty cushy. I mean, like, to be honest, like nothing ever happens in America, you know? So because we're so safe, you know, we don't know what the hell goes on in other countries. And even if we know what's going on in other countries, we don't know what's going on in other countries. We just want to be like, oh my God, we got to save this other country that's going through whatever. And we don't realize that we're on fire ourselves.
Yeah, we're kind of like right behind them.
Yeah.
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 But I think it's like,
but they don't know that. We don't know.
yeah. But it's kind of like a sales pitch too, like what they've been, I guess, advocating for years. Like the things that they've been advocating is, okay, we're going to get rid of racism. We're going to get rid of let's get rid of racism. But people never answer, like, how can we as people solve that? I mean, how can we just get it? I mean, it's always like, let the government like step in, or like, how can we take care of, it's always, and then another the sales pitch. Oh, let's help the environment. Yeah, we want to help the environment, but what's something that we can do as people and not let the government get involved? It's just like it's just like sales pitch after sales pitch of things that we should be doing for ourselves and for like other people, instead of like letting the government step in. Like, we're just letting the government step in for all these things that they should have nothing to do with. And that's how we're lowering our vigilance and we're just like letting them we're giving up our rights or freedom by letting them just step in and taking care of the problem the way that they see fit. And just like I mean, whatever it is that they think is right for us, that's what they're going to do. It's not what you want, it's going to be what they want. And that's the problem with people, is like they don't look at that. They're going to solve it the way that they want to solve it, not the way that you think that they're going to solve it.
Yeah. I remember like watching The Last Jedi, the Star Wars movie, and like the messaging that was kind of put forth, like if you remember, there was that one blue, like purple haired general woman versus
Laura Dern and Poe.
Laura Dern and Poe, and they're like the messaging was very like, I'm in charge, you don't matter, do your job, and it like that didn't feel like original Star Wars kind of messaging. Original Star Wars had like this.
I'm a girl boss.
Yeah, you're a flyboy. I think she calls him a flyboy or some shit like that. But there was such like this. Just let Humiliated.
humiliated him.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
And normally, like, she would be the bad guy, but instead she was like right for some reason, even though her plan was terrible.
Her whole like her taking the ship and then driving it to the other ship using warp speed. It's like it just destroys all the other mechanics of like
Yeah.
the laws of the Star Wars universe.
Another thing that was funny about that scene was like there was this big thing of like, oh, we're gonna transport everybody into smaller ships and they won't see us. But then later on, when Snoke, I think his name is fighting Ray or whatever the hell, like he literally like opens the window. He's like, oh yeah, they're right there. I can see them. They're all there. They're going to that planet right there. Like just and no one mentions how bad an idea that was. But the messaging is just so fucking
Yeah.
bizarre in that fucking movie. But I think it has to do with this kind of like promoting like this compliance in people. It's, it's creepy. It's creepy. People should have like an edge to them, but it's just dead for some reason.
Well, it's hard for even people who are concerned about freedom to have an edge because it's hard. You're going so against the grain.
Mhm.
You end up getting gaslit almost. And like part of me for a long time, like kind of like even though my beliefs and how strong they were didn't change, I was less into being like prickly about it. I was like, but like once I saw like I mentioned last video, Yeonmi Park, like once I heard her story, just kind of
Yeah.
like I was like, we gotta fight harder. Like we're too comfy too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to her clip and she was mentioning that like they don't even know what love is or something like that. It's intense, man.
Yeah.
We don't really realize how good we have it here.
Where we could even be concerned about our identity, our own desires, our own like, ooh, I'm gonna indulge in this, or like I'm gonna do what I want.
Mhm.
When there's so much more to the world than us.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like, whenever, like, I try to like make a case that like America is, it's pretty good. We should be lucky. Like people, the other side, they would like compare it to utopia. It's so weird. Like, well, there's homelessness. Like, well, of course, but you can't get rid of that. Compared
There's
to
so
other
many
countries,
causes.
yeah, yeah,
Because you're free to be homeless. You don't just die.
yeah,
Because homeless people can get fat. Like
yeah.
they're like so much better off than like the kids in the bush in Africa.
Yeah, I've seen like homeless people with like cell phones and laptops. So I think we're not perfect, but we're pretty good here.
Well, especially like during the riots or like the aftermath of the riots, like they all had like bling, they had like Gucci bags and like the best
Jordans,
and
yeah.
Jordan. Yeah.
It's like, oh, they're hungry, they need food, they're getting the reparations. Like, no, they're just getting the fancy stuff that
Yeah.
they desire and want that like it's just like covetousness.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, it kind of reminds me like when I was like a kid, like in high school, like all it was kind of sad too because I think they were like the poorest kids too, but like somehow they would manage to like get the brand like new Jordans,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I
then
remember that.
like the rest of like with the things that they were wearing, like they have like this dirty shirt that like white tee that they'd have on for like weeks with like ketchup stains and
Yeah,
like messed up hands, like all torn, but they'd have like these badass Jordans. I was like, it's like gotta like find like a balance, like yeah, like you're like all like you're all tore up, and then
yeah,
you have like your Jordans. I don't know.
yeah.
People need to like, I don't know, like people have their priorities. People make their choices. They make their own destiny sometimes.
Especially when it comes to buying Jordans.
Yeah. Yeah, I was never a fan of Jordans either though. Like there's
I
like
only
some that are like okay.
I only had one pair of Jordans, and like Jordans aren't like the best built shoe. So like within a month they were just wrecked.
Yeah.
I never bought them ever again.
Yeah. I
My
do
mom
remember.
used- huh?
Huh?
My brothers were both in basketball when
Uh-huh.
we were growing up, and my mom would buy my oldest brother, new Jordans like all the time.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we were talking about Nikes, right?
Yeah.
Well, still, Jordans,
Jordan.
Nikes, they're all like really expensive freaking shoes.
Yeah.
And I remember like he'd get like I think he would get Nikes too, and they she would spend like at least like $500 or $600 on my brother
Jesus.
getting shoes. And I mean, yeah, he was in basketball, but I mean, like as I got older, I just started thinking like, okay, I like Adidas, I like Chuck Taylors, but if I can get them from the alley for like
From los
$10,
callejones.
Yeah,
Los
then like
callejones.
who's gonna know? It's like they all look the same, right? Like
yeah.
people are so obsessed with like brand name stuff. It's
Yeah.
the other day my daughter, she had said something to me about like generic cereal.
Really?
Yeah, because I have the generic
Is it-
Lucky Charms.
Is it malto meal brand?
Is that
So-
what they're?
I think
that
it is.
name of
The ones that
brand?
come in like in a bag instead of a box.
Yeah. And she's
I
like,
rock
"What
that,
is this,
yeah.
mom?" And I'm like, it's cereal."
Yeah.
It's like, but it's not Lucky Charms. It's Lucky Charms to me. Like it's the same exact characters, it's the same cereal pieces, marshmallows. They all take the same. I don't know what you're talking about, child.
I like how they changed the name of the cereal just slightly so they. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like these factories like that do like food.
Mhm.
Like there's like big ones that literally just make
Yeah,
this
yeah.
cereal and it's just different brands. Like it's just different packaging.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you're paying for the package on the freaking box.
The
You know,
same.
That's
because
true.
it is a lot of those factories, especially like Lucky Charms and stuff. I believe that they're all the same factory. They're all the same factory. They're all going to the same places, but they're different boxes when they get boxed out.
Yeah.
So
I'm
different companies buy the same exact cereal
Mhm.
and they say this.
Yeah, I'm guilty of being brainwashed too as a little kid too. It's like the best part of being like a little kid, like getting that cereal
Yeah.
and like just because of the whatever like
The
character that was
toy and shit,
on the
yeah.
front of the toy, and then like pouring like some milk on your cereal and just like having that box right in front of you and looking at the cartoons and just staring at it. And then they would always have like a crunchy cereal, like the crunchy cereals were the best. You go crunch, 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 crunch,
Yeah.
and you're it's like, and that's what would make it addictive. So you're like crunching away while you're looking at a little cartoon box,
Yeah.
and then
There's a fun aspect to that.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the last one, and then we'll probably start wrapping up. It's number 20. Oh, this is actually two.
Like a bonus.
Yeah. It's easier to fool a person than to convince them that they've been fooled. Yeah, I think
Oh
didn't
yeah.
Luke say this last time?
Yeah, I
think
think
so.
he brought up like one of the that Mark Twain. It's like a Mark Twain quote.
Yeah.
Like people, yeah, it's about the same thing, like what he's saying right there. And I think a lot of people know that they've been fooled. I think it was one of these two,
Mhm.
but it's hard for them to admit that they were fooled. They'd rather just go on being wrong than to admit that they were wrong.
Yeah.
Some people are just stubborn, like, oh, I'm wrong, but I'm not gonna admit that I'm wrong because I don't want to look stupid.
It's the
Just like,
whole
yeah,
emperor's new clothes.
Yeah.
I'm naked, but you can't say that I'm naked, or else I'm going to cancel you.
Yeah. People
It's
just don't like feeling bad. It's
Yeah.
like we care too much about feelings in America,
Yeah.
I think.
yeah,
It's not even feeling bad. It's just the feeling of being wrong for some reason. It's so scary for people. And there's like an ego to it that
yeah. It's definitely like an ego.
I never
to-
understood.
It's
It's like
pride.
Yeah, it's
Is
an
it?
ego tribalist thing, and that's why like I always compare it to like I think in the Nate Kapnicki episode we were talking about, because this goes back to like historically to back to like the times of like the was it the Romans, like where they used to like fight in the Colosseum,
Mhm.
and then there's like lions against like warriors, and there's like the peasant against the the upper class, and there's
Yeah.
all spectacle just to kind of like create these divisions among people. And I think that's been perpetuated through professional sports. And the problem is that now that sort of like, I guess, parallels like politics too, where people will follow their team to the very end, even if they're
Yeah.
wrong. And it's just like, boy, it's like it's not baseball. If
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
okay if they suck and they if they're like an underdog and they overcome like an obstacle, that's cool. But like if you're wrong about something, somebody is being affected by this, somebody is getting killed or something, like why are you gonna like just cheer on your team just because it's your team? It's like some like a tribal ego
Yeah.
thing.
I've never like, I don't know why, but I never noticed like how tribalistic people are with politics. Like I just looked at it as like
Yep.
whoever has the best ideas, I'll vote for. I don't care where they come from, but
Yeah,
like,
that's why I've never been like a fan of like saying, oh, I'm a Republican or I'm a
yeah, especially like
Democrat.
in the
Yeah.
Hispanic community, there's like I get a lot of like, my parents were Democrats, so I'm just passing the torch or whatever. I just never understood that. Like it literally sounds like you're just like voting for the Lakers because of the Lakers. It's odd.
Yeah, it's like people just don't want to think about it.
Yeah, and it is an important decision. But to treat it that way,
Yeah.
it's something I don't know why I just never noticed, or maybe like has it always been there or something. But
Yeah. I think the reason I haven't been like tribal was because like when I was like a kid, like I used to be into the Dodgers, but then I was really obsessed with baseball. So I was never like loyal to just the Dodgers. I would look at it almost like objectively and say, okay, well, the Dodgers are good, but then like the Braves have like this incredible pitching staff. So like I would
yeah.
give credit where it was due. And then like I would look at all the teams like that and just say, okay, well, this like the Indians have like something going on over here. I was never like just like, oh, because from LA, like I'm only gonna like root for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
That's good if they win, but like I don't know. I just had like an appreciation for like everybody's strengths.
Yeah, for the
And
sport itself.
the sport for for the sport. It
Yeah,
was just fun.
I was the same way when I used to watch basketball. Like, I was a Laker fan because I grew up here, but
Yeah.
I still followed all the, like other teams. I was like, if the Lakers sucked this year, I was,
Yeah.
I'd still watch their games, but I would appreciate other teams, other players, and to see people like treat politics the same way, it's just really bizarre and kind of disheartening.
Yeah, they've been programmed that way.
Yeah. All right, let's I guess do this bonus one and we'll start closing up. Let's see. 21, last one. Most people are fairly compassionate, have good intentions. This is good. As a result, most people deeply struggle to understand that some people, including our leaders, can have malicious and perverse intentions. This is bad. Yeah,
I disagree.
how so?
I can't say people are like, oh, it says fairly compassionate. Okay. Because I think that all humans deep down are kind of messed up and selfish in some way.
Mhm.
But there are the way that everything is played to like empathy, like BLM or empathy, or wearing your mask for like empathy. Like I think like we're inclined to it,
Yeah.
but I feel like so much of it has like most people don't realize it, that it evolves into a sort of like virtue signal to where they're like, oh, like they feel a part of something, and it's like deep down it's more about how they feel than
Yeah, like a
like they do the right thing.
selfishness.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like some people do good things just out of like the image of it or selfishness and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's the main, I think, issue that the left is going through right now. Like, I think they've been conditioned to just whatever the subject matter is, just throw compassion at it, and like they've kind of forgotten that, like, reason and facts have to kick in, because compassion can you can end up sort of enabling a problem. And
Yeah, like
just,
kids doing drag or
yeah,
transitioning
exactly.
kids. It's like you can feel bad for kids with dysphoria, but then it's like grown into a bigger problem where even more kids are getting dysphoria.
Yeah, and they're
it's like just like the messaging from like people. It's like I see so many girls. Like growing up, I was a lot more like a tomboy, and like seeing like girls grow up and be like, well, I don't feel like I fit, and so that means I'm a boy.
Yeah.
And then they just change, like, and it's like normal to like for girls to be boyish or like some boys to be a little bit girly. Like that's a normal thing. You grow out of it eventually, or you still like keep those things, but you come to like an acceptance of that, I guess. Like it's okay. You don't have to completely change. But it's just like kids are so susceptible. And it's like, sure, you're being empathetic because you want to help them. But it's actually like really terrible.
Yeah, like suicide rates and hormones.
Being a tomboy even a thing anymore?
I don't know. I think it's just being trans
like,
now or some shit.
Well, yeah.
I feel like some moron's gonna go up to a poor kid and just be like, "No, you're really a boy."
Yeah, yeah.
Well, like, so I see this all the time because I'm a part of Gen Z, so
yeah.
Like this is the main generation where you see all the non-binary kids. Most of them are just girls that are like where back then they would have just been a tomboy, and they would struggle through that, and then they'd come to terms with either like, oh yeah, I'm still like that, or like they grow out of it.
Yeah.
And it's, or they're just lesbians or whatever. But it's like, it's just like everything's about feelings. I don't know.
Well, sexualizing a kid at such a young age is just like exploitation. It's not really, being compassionate.
Just creepy.
And,
or being like, oh, they can decide their gender. They can then the argument goes to they can consent to like reassignment.
Yeah.
Well, it's because
it's like it's a slippery slope, and I'm not going to go back on saying that.
Well, because it leads to like from there, like it's like a grown adult man like saying that to like a little boy and saying, okay, you can change you can be a woman, and then he starts, okay, you can also do this sexual act. Did you know you could do this? Did you know you could do this?
Yeah, you can put on makeup and do drag, which is inherently a sexual show.
Yeah, and it's just grooming the kid to whatever perverse like thing that person is trying to get them to do. It's not really like helping the kid out. Like kids need to like let them bloom, like let them grow up on not on their own. You should guide them, but don't like impose your perverse fantasies on them. Like they're like little kids. They're exploiting them by sexualizing them at such a young age.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I worry too. I worry too because, like, when kids are discovering sexuality, hormones are intense. So there's like an extra, I guess, horniness, that comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're already confused.
It's one thing if like a kid discovers it on their own, but like if it's like the parents are like, cheering them on, like that's gonna have a weird effect. Like I don't even know what the effect would be, but it's gonna really warp some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like back to like empathy, like the thing with empathy, I think you can have empathy and you don't necessarily have to agree with the other person. It's all about like respect. It's just like, okay, well, I have empathy. I understand like what you're saying, but I don't have to agree with you.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh,
when my daughter was really little, um, she she was she was maybe 3 years old,
mhm,
and at that age, little kids are like, experimenting and like learning about their body. Boys
yeah.
pee standing up, girls pee sitting down, and all that junk. And she has a brother, so it's like, oh, he doesn't have what I got. And I remember having this conversation, not having this conversation. Oh, I remember having a conversation with my mom about masturbation.
Really?
Yeah.
Never had.
And well, kids, no, well, not like me masturbating or something.
Yeah.
Gross. I meant like the whole like it was a discussion about like kids masturbating at a young age, and how when she was a kid, if you saw a kid that was doing something like that, it was looked at as that kid's been touched by an adult, or like they were shown to do those things.
Yeah.
And as a mom, I'm like freaking out. And I remember reading when I was watching a documentary about like child development. I used to watch like a ton of documentaries on like TLC about like parents. Like they have like
Yeah.
they have like a parent, like a mom channel. TLC does. So
Yeah.
like they were like talking about like child behavior, and they were discussing about masturbation and how kids like how they discover their genitals and stuff. TMI, I know. It's science, okay, I promise.
Yeah.
And you know and they're talking about how to go about explaining what's going on to your child, because there is that aha moment that they're like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
And oh, when I touch it, it does this, kind of thing that they go through. I mean, we all have gone through it. And she was talking about how do you handle that, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, like how do you handle that? Like if you're seeing your kid doing something sexual and you're in public,
Yeah.
I knew, like, I used to babysit and stuff when I was a teenager. So, I knew like little kids that would like take off their diaper and shit, like, and you'd be like, hey, why the fuck are you taking off your diaper, kid? I don't know you. Like, what do you do? Stuff like that. And she was explaining how like those behaviors are extremely normal. Like everybody does it. It's how the parent perceives it, how the parent goes about it, how the parent explains it to the child, that's supposed to determine the outcome of how that child reacts to things in the future. So
Yeah.
basically, like, I was going through this whole thing with my daughter, and because what she would do is she would hump her toys. And I slowly noticed her doing it, like she just lay on top of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I think I had a cousin that did some similar
yeah,
stuff.
and like she just lay there on top of it, and like she just like wiggle on it, and and like it was funny to see, but like at the same time you're like, oh, I don't want people seeing my kid do
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of crap, because then they're gonna be thinking, what are we doing to our child? So like I had to like think fast, like, okay, like what if she starts doing this in front of like family members or something? And the lady just explained, like, in that moment you've got to explain to your kid that the behavior is normal, don't do it around people.
Yeah.
And that was like literally it. And after that, like what she would say is she'd come to me and she would say like, my cuckoo itches or something like that. And then I'd be like, okay, well, go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So then like she looked at it as a bathroom thing, I think, more. And then eventually she just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
And
and
they
then it just
forget
went away.
about it.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
like literally that was it. So like she did it for like maybe a year or two, and then like that was it. Like she grew out of it. And my son never even went through that kind of shit. I don't remember my son doing anything weird weird like that.
Or that you
But
know of. I mean,
yeah, that I know of. I mean, he's done other weird crap. He's about to be 15.
yeah.
He's done
Oh.
other weird crap, but but yeah, it's like it's how these parents are going about the discussion with their kids. And I mean, the horrible thing is that a lot of these kids are being taught outside of the home,
Yeah.
these things. So it's a lot of it's getting done at school, or it's being taught from another kid who it's been done to, and
Yeah.
I mean, what was I watching? And it was talking about grooming, and they're talking about how it's slow. And it's like, yeah, it is slow. I mean, I feel like, when it comes to a predator will take their time, you know, stalking out their prey.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no different than what's going on with the freaking government right now. They're very patient on what they want. If you really want something, you're going to be patient for it. And then sure enough, when it happens, they're going to strike. It's going to strike, and then whatever happens happens. But prepare ahead of time. And that was like two analogies in
Yeah.
one thing. But anyway, I totally got off topic.
Double whammy.
But yeah, like children, their whole like mentality is, they rely off of their best idea of what is truthful. And that level of truth goes usually from parent to teacher, parents to family members, to teachers, to friends. And as they get older, that those roles and stuff reverse, and it turns into the child more relying on their friends. And if their friends are into a certain circle that's not being monitored, then disaster is going to strike, and kids are going to think that they're not boys when they're boys, and they're girls when they're girls.
I just worry like where
That was a
this is
lot,
gonna
yeah.
go.
We just like need a script. Just like print us out a script, general
Maybe.
timestamps.
Maybe next time.
We need like a referee or like somebody. Oh no, you're going like way too out of the topic. Well, especially with me though, like I'm kind of like all over the place, like big
That's
time.
okay.
But
We'll get better. All right, I guess we'll start winding down the show. I don't know if any guys want to plug anything you're working on or anything like that. I guess we can plug Luke, his reunitedstates.com.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Check out what he's trying to do. It's pretty good stuff.
yeah,
I'm gonna
right
see him
now,
tomorrow.
Hmm?
I'm gonna see him tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
He's coming up through like from Kentucky to Ohio.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool, way cool.
yeah, right now he's like traveling, right? Like right now he went from
Yep.
Kentucky to Ohio. Where is
And
he
he
going
said
to?
next week he's going down to the border.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Oh, cool. Like
'Cause he's
which
gonna be-
one?
I hope he takes pictures down there.
The border crisis down
Yeah,
like Mexico border.
Say hi to Mom.
you better take a bunch. You better take a bunch of pictures.
All right. I guess that's another episode of the Critical Introvert Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you guys another time.